So I'm going to begin this video with a couple of clips of Jordan Peterson here talking about the meaning of life with John Vervaeke, and some of this touches on where we've gotten to so far in maps of meaning. This week we're going to start with normal life at the bottom of page 23 and read to the midpoint of page 26. So some of these clips are relevant, like I said, to what we've read so far, and some of it touches on where we're going. So,
frameworks and emotional responses that are necessary to conceive of the world in a manner that allows you to act in it. So one of the things we know, for example, is that when you walk into a room like this and you see the furniture of the landscape arrayed in front of you, that one of the things that you directly perceive is actually the meaning of that furniture. And you might think that you see the object and infer the meaning, and that's what you would think if you were a traditional Western rationalist or even a materialist. But it actually seems to be the case that when you walk into a room like this, the room tells you what to do at a level that's below conscious realization. And it's partly because, well, you know exactly what chairs are for. You might ask yourself, for example, what is a chair? It's a complicated question because it could be a beanbag and it could be a stump.
What is plastic? What is bottle? What is that? But that's what it is. I can describe it. I can actually, if I had the scientific knowledge, get down into the molecular structure, and it's real. It's actually here. It's not created by my consciousness or interpreted by my consciousness. It really is what it is. So I think what evolution has done is given us those tools.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Why is a stump and a beanbag both a chair? Well, because you're talking about
Why
the self.
is a stump and a beanbag both a chair? Because if you have a proper definition of a chair, then a stump and a beanbag both fit that definition.
What is the definition?
Well, I haven't thought about it, but something to sit in.
That's it.
Yeah. So
it's something to sit on.
Yeah.
Right. That isn't inherent to the object.
Sure. No, truth is,
but my
definitions are not inherent in the object. They're objectively created by my consciousness and that object.
Right.
But the object is an object, right? It's both of them are chairs, and both of them have a particular nature. That is, I can describe both. I can both say the stump and the beanbag are the same. They're a chair. But I can also say they're different. The stump is made of wood, and it has this.
Well, the problem with the idea that the object presents itself is that two things are the same and different in a near infinite number of ways. And that's also a technical problem. So I can give you an example. So imagine that you're going to classify a set of 6 books. You're going to figure out how to arrange them in your shelf. You think, well, that's an easy thing to do. That's a conceptual problem, by the way. It's actually not an easy thing to do because there is an indefinite number of ways that you can classify a finite number of objects. So you could classify the books by color, by age, by thickness, by weight, by number of E's, by number of A's, by number of E's on the first page, by number of words, by number of phrases.
Yeah, but this is where purpose
matters, this is a big problem.
The question is, why am I classifying them? So
that is the question.
There's no intrinsic value to classifying books. The question is, why do I want to classify them? And the answer to the why I want to classify them will then determine how I classify them.
Absolutely. But that's exactly it. But that's the rub. The rub is, you see, that's the rub. Your classification system is dependent on why you apply it. And that's exactly the argument I've been using with Harris, which means the set of facts that reveal themselves to you in the world are dependent on your values. Because Sam's argument is that the values are derived from the facts. It's like, no, wait a minute. There's an infinite number of facts, and they present themselves in accordance with your values, with your purpose. And so that demolishes the values from facts argument. Now, it makes it complicated because there's an interrelationship between them, like a causal interrelationship. But it is the case that your purpose determines the facts that array themselves before you. And that's actually not disputable, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common knowledge, and I'm surprised Sam Harris doesn't know that, given that he did study philosophy. I mean, even if you're I just don't know how you could study philosophy and not understand that. I think I read in a previous video a quote from Heidegger, and Heidegger came to the same problem when you're talking about truth, how to get to truth. You have to know what truth is in order to recognize truth from the set of facts. You have to understand what facts are in order to start organizing them and recognizing a fact from a non-fact. So there's sort of a circular logic that seems to be happening, and these guys can't seem to get themselves out of it.
But fundamentally, a chair is something to sit in. And when you see a chair, the chair tells you directly, as a perceptual consequence, that you sit in it. And that's the meaning of the chair. And so you can't understand meaning in that manner without considering meaning in relationship to embodiment. And so meaning is really how we propel ourselves through the world and how we organize ourselves and arrange to propel ourselves through the world in a manner that's productive, relatively free of suffering, even though that's a meaning, and sustainable across many situations and contexts. So that's a rough framework for the initiation of the discussion.
I just want to point out, you'll notice that at the most basic level, meaning is a way, he said, to propel ourselves through the world. It's related to action, and I think so far in Maps of Meaning, he even brought it down to almost like a central nervous system type of action, where it's like hardwired in us. The most basic action we have when we encounter the unknown is to move forward or move backwards. And you can see this down to like single-celled organisms. They propel themselves forward or backwards. That's like the most basic kind of action in the world that we have. So now I'll get to chapter 2, like I said, page 23, Normal Life. And I was considering just summarizing some of this because a lot of it is mostly Jordan telling a story, giving an example to try to elucidate what he's talking about with like a real life story. But I thought, you know what, it's better just to read through his example because he does have a lot of little things, little details in it that are interesting and do elucidate his points from a psychological perspective that if I just gave a 2-sentence summary, you'd kind of miss all that. So he begins, if problems are accepted and dealt with before they arise, they might even be prevented before confusion begins. In this way, peace may be maintained. And that's a quote, and there's an endnote there. It's from Lao Tzu. I haven't been doing a lot of the endnotes, which I probably should do. But maybe I'll do it in a review chapter or a review video where I'll hit a lot of the important endnotes. Anyway, so normal life. You work in an office. You are climbing the corporate ladder. Your daily activity reflects this superordinate goal. You are constantly immersed in one activity or another designed to produce an elevation in your status from the perspective of the corporate hierarchy. Today, you have to attend a meeting that may prove vitally important to your future. You have an image in your head, so to speak, about the nature of that meeting and the interactions that will characterize it. You imagine what you would like to accomplish. Your image of this potential future is a fantasy, but it is based insofar as you are honest on all the relevant information derived from past experience that you have at your disposal. You have attended many meetings. You know what is likely to happen during any given meeting within reasonable bounds. You know how you will behave and what effect your behavior will have on others. Your model of the desired future is clearly predicated on what you currently know. You also have a model of the present, constantly operative. You understand your somewhat subordinate position within the corporation, which is your importance relative to others above and below you in the hierarchy. You understand the significance of those experiences that occur regularly while you are doing your job. You know who you can give orders to, who you have to listen to, who is doing a good job, who can safely be ignored, and so on. You are always comparing this present unsatisfactory condition to that of your ideal, which is you, increasingly respected, powerful, rich and happy, free of anxiety and suffering, climbing toward your ultimate success. You are unceasingly involved in attempts to transform the present as you currently understand it into the future as you hope it will be. Your actions are designed to produce your ideal, designed to transform the present into something ever more closely resembling what you want. You are confident in your model of reality, in your story. When you put it into action, you get results. You prepare yourself mentally for your meeting. You envision yourself playing a centrally important role, resolutely determining the direction the meeting will take, producing a powerful impact on your coworkers. You are in your office preparing to leave. The meeting is taking place in another building several blocks away. You formulate provisional plans of behavior designed to get you there on time. You estimate the travel time at 15 minutes. You leave your office on the 27th floor and you wait by the elevator. The minutes tick by, more and more of them. The elevator fails to appear. You had not taken this possibility into account. The longer you wait, the more nervous you get. Your heart rate starts increasing as you prepare for action unspecified as of yet. Your palms sweat. You flush. You berate yourself for failing to consider the potential impact of such a delay. Maybe you are not as smart as you think you are. You begin to revise your model of yourself. No time for that now. You put such ideas out of your head and concentrate on the task at hand. The unexpected has just become manifest, in the form of the missing elevator. You planned to take it to get where you were going. It did not appear. Your original plan of action is not producing the effects desired. It was, by your own definition, a bad plan. You need another one, and quickly. Luckily, you have an alternative strategy at your disposal: the stairs. You dash to the rear of the building. You try the door to the stairwell. It is locked. You curse the maintenance staff. You are frustrated and anxious. The unknown has emerged once again. You try another exit. Success. The door opens. Hope springs forth from your breast. You still might make it on time. You rush down the stairs, all 27 floors, and onto the street. You are by now desperately late. As you hurry along, you monitor your surroundings. Is progress towards your goal continuing? Anyone who gets in your way inconveniences you. Elderly women, playful, happy children, lovers out for a stroll. You are a good person under most circumstances, at least in your own estimation. Why then do these innocent people aggravate you so thoroughly? You near a busy intersection. The crosswalk light is off. You fume and mutter away stupidly on the sidewalk. Your blood pressure rises. The light finally changes. You smile and dash forward. Up a slight rise you run. You are not in great physical shape. Where did all this energy come from? You are approaching the target building. You glance at your watch. 5 minutes left. No problem. A feeling of relief and satisfaction floods you. You are there. In consequence, you are not an idiot. If you believed in God, you would thank Him. Had you been early? Had you planned appropriately? The other pedestrians and assorted obstacles would not have affected you at all. You might have even appreciated them, at least the good-looking ones, or may at least not have classified them as obstacles. Maybe you would have even used the time to enjoy your surroundings, unlikely, or to think about other issues of real importance, like tomorrow's meeting. You continue on your path. Suddenly, you hear a series of loud noises behind you. Noises reminiscent of a large motorized vehicle hurtling over a small concrete barrier, much like a curb. You are safe on the sidewalk, or so you presumed a second ago. Your meeting fantasies vanish. The fact that you are late no longer seems relevant. You stop hurrying along instantly, arrested in your path by the emergence of this new phenomenon. Your auditory system localizes the sound in 3 dimensions. You involuntarily orient your trunk, neck, head, and eyes toward the place in space from which the sounds apparently emanate. Your pupils dilate, and your eyes widen. Your heart rate speeds up as your body prepares to take adaptive action once the proper path of that action has been specified. You actively explore the unexpected occurrence once you have oriented yourself toward it with all the sensory and cognitive resources you can muster. You are generating hypotheses about the potential cause of the noise even before you turn. Has a van jumped the curb? The image flashes through your mind. Has something heavy fallen from a building? Has the wind overturned a billboard or street sign? Your eyes actively scan the relevant area. You see a truck loaded with bridge parts heading down the street, just past a pothole in the road. The mystery is solved. You have determined the specific motivational significance of what just seconds ago was the dangerous and threatening unknown, and it is 0. A loaded truck hit a bump. Big deal. Your heart slows down. Thoughts of the impending meeting re-enter the theater of your mind. Your original journey continues as if nothing has happened. What is going on? Why are you frightened and frustrated by the absence of the expected elevator, the presence of the old woman with the cane, the carefree lovers, the loud machinery? Why are you so emotionally and behaviorally variable? Detailed description of the processes governing these common affective occurrences provides the basis for proper understanding of human motivation. What Sokolov and his colleagues essentially discovered was the unknown experienced in relationship to your currently extant model of present and future has a priori motivational significance, or to put it somewhat differently, that the unknown could serve as an unconditioned stimulus. What is the a priori motivational significance of the unknown? Can such a question even be asked? After all, the unknown, by definition, has not yet been explored. Nothing can be said by the dictates of standard logic about something that has not yet been encountered. We are not concerned with sensory information, however, nor with particular material attributes, but with valence. Valence in and of itself might be most simply considered as bipolar, negative or positive, or of course as neither. We are familiar enough with the ultimate potential range of valence, negative and positive, to place provisional borders around possibility. The worst the unknown could be, in general, is death, or perhaps lengthy suffering followed by death. The fact of our vulnerable mortality provides the limiting case. The best the unknown could be is more difficult to specify, but some generalizations might prove acceptable. We would like to be wealthy, or at least free from want, possessed of good health, wise and well-loved. The greatest good the unknown might confer, then, might be regarded as that which would allow us to transcend our innate limitations, poverty, ignorance, vulnerability, rather than to remain miserably subject to them. The emotional, quote, area covered by the unknown is therefore very large, ranging from that which we fear most to that which we desire most intently. That's where I'm going to pause for this week's reading, and I would like to just mention that this is something I quoted on Twitter, I think yesterday or the day before. Of course, I had to shorten the sentence because Twitter doesn't like long sentences. I thought it was interesting in relation to the entire social justice warrior culture. So I'm going to read the sentence again, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. The greatest good the unknown might confer, then, might be regarded as that which would allow us to transcend our innate limitations, poverty, ignorance, vulnerability, rather than to remain miserably subject to them. So don't you think, doesn't it remind you that the social justice culture sort of has that sort of inverted, like, so the, instead of transcending your innate limitations, your poverty, your ignorance, and your vulnerability, those things are celebrated, and you have to figure out how you can get more of those innate limitations. You have to figure out how, who is the most impoverished, who's the most ignorant, who's the most vulnerable. Those things give you social justice points to spend as currency in your group. And without those things, if you don't have much currency to spend in that social justice group, then you're the one who's harassed and kicked out. And so I just thought that was interesting how, in this very fundamental psychological makeup, I think they're fundamentally changing their psychology on such a basic level, and it's from that springs a lot of these issues that we're having in our culture. And they used to say the common phrase is culture war, and I think it's a clash of stories which the cultures are based on, and right there you can see it comes from a very basic psychological fact in the way we operate in the world.